Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Family and friends are paying tribute to a 22-year-old Gagebrook man whose body was found on the side of the road near Richmond yesterday. Police have confirmed Jared Lee Turner suffered a gunshot wound, but the motive for the murder remains a mystery tonight.
Forensic investigators continued combing through the scene today, collecting evidence by the side of Colebrook Road, where the body of Jared Lee Turner was found.
We've spoken to a lot of people in the last 24 hours. We've searched a number of residences. We've conducted line searching of the area around where he was found, and we'll continue to do that in an effort to uncover all the evidence and put this thing together.
Today we're learning more details about the 22-year-old from Gagebrook. His Facebook page listing him as a single father of 2 young boys. His last post around 3 a.m. Sunday morning, 3 hours before his body was found. Sharing a picture saying, "Won't back up and won't back down. I've been raised to stand my ground." People flooding his page with tributes today, including his sister, saying, "I'll forever cherish every one moment we had together. I'll do everything for your kids until my last breath and remind them how beautiful and funny you were."
This is a really tragic and unfortunate incident that's deeply affected the family of the victim. All I can say at this point is that there are indications the victim may have known the people he was with shortly before he died.
Police have confirmed he suffered a gunshot wound, but they're yet to find the weapon used.
We have tracked some of the movements of Mr Turner prior to his death, and we're aware he spoke to a number of different people. So there is more than one person we're certainly keen to speak with.
31 hours after the body was discovered here and following detailed examinations and a police line search, the scene of this harrowing incident on Colebrook Road was reopened to the public this afternoon.
We're aware from the information we've received that there are people that are talking about this that haven't come forward to police. So we're very, very keen to hear from anyone that has information that might assist.
Anyone with information can provide it to Crime Stoppers and remain anonymous. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Environmentalists are hailing today's federal court decision about salmon farming operations in Okehampton Bay as a win for the environment and southern right whales. The federal court today finding on appeal salmon farming company Tasal should have been directed to use whale-proof netting by the federal Environment Minister before the development was approved.
And that win is going to flow on to other protections for the environment by making sure that the Minister in future, unlike Josh Frydenberg, do their job.
Tasal welcomes the ruling and says that it already uses the nets across its Okehampton Bay operations. Well, he's been flying planes longer than he's been allowed to drive a car. And now a Tasmanian teenager is attempting to break an aviation record by becoming the youngest pilot to circumnavigate the country solo and unassisted, all while spreading an important message.
16-year-old Bob Bramley looks to the sky. It'll be his home for the next 3 weeks when he hops between towns in an audacious aviation adventure.
I've done about 95 hours now and the trip's going to be about 100, so I'm going to double my flying hours.
He's attempting to become the youngest pilot to circumnavigate the country solo, but it's less about breaking records and more about spreading a message around youth suicide prevention after Bob nearly lost 2 close mates in 2017. He's raised $30,000 for the trip. Any money left over is going to Beyond Blue.
To break that stigma and get people talking and to save people's lives.
The most important thing is don't be in a hurry. And when you're young, you just want to go, go, go.
A goodbye from his girlfriend.
I'm proud of you so much.
And one last hug from Mum.
My adrenaline's pumping. I don't know if his is yet.
Oh yeah.
But is it?
Before the 15,000 kilometre trip, dubbed Surviving Turbulence, took off. Bob's visiting 40 communities along the way, from Horn Island in the north to Geraldton in the west, before touching down back home in mid-May. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Welcome back. Tasmanian public health authorities are urging people to have their flu shot soon, with the dreaded flu season just around the corner. Around 100,000 people are expected to be struck down this year, with the most susceptible including pregnant women, children, those over 65 and people living with chronic health conditions.
It's that time of year when we're advised to roll up our sleeves for a flu vaccination. Today, pregnant mum Mary Forsyth and her 3-year-old daughter Fiona, lured with books, bubbles and stickers, are getting in early.
I just wanted to be protected during the rest of my pregnancy and have some protection for baby once it's born by getting the rest of the family immunised as well.
Both are in the high risk category of contracting the illness and are eligible for free vaccinations. Public Health is reminding all Tasmanians the only way to be covered against the dreaded illness is immunisation.
The more immunisation we get, the less of the influenza we'll see going around the classrooms, around the childcares. And I think that'll have a big flow-on effect to parents not coming into contact with it as well.
With the strain changing every year, it needs to be done annually, reiterating prevention is better than cure.
So getting vaccinated now during April and early May will provide protection that lasts until the peak of the flu season.
Those at high risk include people aged over 65, Aboriginal Australians and those living with chronic medical conditions. The government funds vaccinations for those groups and children aged from 6 months to 5 years old. But members of the wider community are urged to have one too.
Particularly this season, I think it's going to be really important. We've seen a lot more cases early on than I expected, and a lot more than this time last year.
For information, get in touch with your general practitioner. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Vineyards across the state are busy harvesting, with grapes set to match the high-quality crops of last year. The promising season sparking further international interest in Tasmanian wines.
Using nothing but muscle to plunge these harvested grapes. The wines at Marilla Estate near Hobart have been completely stripped of their fruit, ready for another knockout vintage season.
Everything that we've seen from sparkling, whites, reds, they've all been really high quality. It was a warmer year, so things have ripened quickly. What you tend to get is a lot more fruitiness in the wines, a little bit more richness, a little bit more flavour.
2019 looks to be another great year in Tasmania. We've had really great weather. It's been a warm summer, it's been a dry summer, which for growing grapes, that's a really positive thing.
With 2018's harvest reaching record numbers, it's still unknown if this year's crops will bubble over.
We don't know if we're going to get there yet, whether we're going to surpass that record, but last year's quality was excellent and it looks like this year's quality is going to be excellent.
And local brands like Marilla are making a name for themselves on the global stage.
So we're working with the Tasmanian government on a new export strategy. So there's a lot of interest in Hong Kong and in America, in California and New York, as well as the UK. So these are the markets that we're going to be targeting.
We're not a large company, either Domain A or Marilla, but we have really tried to kind of show the best of what we do and the best of what Tasmania does by showing the markets that see the best in the world.
Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
To some breaking news now, and several fire crews are currently at the scene of a blaze in Ravenswood. It's understood the inferno broke out a short time ago and has destroyed the property in Waring Street. An investigation will take place once firefighters have contained the blaze, but it's understood that no one has been injured. A 16-year-old Tasmanian has been crowned the 2019 Mr Diamond Australia. The victory rewarding Jordan King's money-raising efforts for the children's ward at the Royal Hobart Hospital.
The emotional moment this Tasmanian found out he had taken out the top prize. Returning home today, still donning his winning attire, after crowned Mr Diamond Australia in Brisbane on Saturday night.
I had my hands on my chest and I was crying. It was an emotional time actually, because I've just been working really, really hard for it. And then when they said I was the winner, it was just amazing.
The pageant celebrates young Australians for their fundraising contributions to local charities, with the 16-year-old winner raising money for the children's ward at the Royal Hobart Hospital for the past 2 years.
It is such a special feeling to give funds to charities because it is something that's so close to me, just seeing the smiles on the children's face it's just amazing.
I'm very proud of his achievements. Everything he does, he gives it 110%, and he deserved the crown he got.
And the teenager encourages more young people to get involved in charity work.
It will really help, and there's a lot of benefits as well, because everyone has a charity that's close to them, and yeah, it will make them feel really good as well.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Now a look at the day's business and finance news thanks to Tasplan, your local not-for-profit Tasmanian super fund. The Australian share market has started the week flat with low trading volume amid the build-up to Easter. The ASX 200 index rose 0.1 points, and a short time ago the Australian dollar was trading at 71.66 US cents and 80.2 Japanese yen.
The votes are in for the RACT Insurance Player of the Year in the TSL after round 3. Hayden Smith takes 3 votes in Lauderdale's win over the Tigers. Callan Daly was best on ground for Glenorchy in its win over Clarence, and 6 goals to Launceston's Mitch Thorpe made him the clear pick in the game against North Hobart. To the leaderboard, and Glenorchy's Aidan Grace is out in front on 6 votes. After leading Launceston City to victory in the NPL season on the weekend, star striker Noah Mees says the side's relieved to finally have a win after 9 rounds. Mees booted 2 goals and had 3 assists in City's 6-0 thrashing of Clarence.
We clicked in the attacking third, I guess, but overall it's what we've been trying to do all season. We just haven't been perfecting it, I guess, so it was nice to put it together.
City's next clash is against reigning champion Devonport at Valley Road on April 27. And Amy Cure has finished equal top in general classification at the Brisbane 6-day cycling event. Cure was trailing Scottish rider Katie Archibald at the start of the final 10-kilometre scratch race before the Tasmanian produced a stunning finish to wind up level in the standings. Georgia Baker and Macy Stewart also finished in the top 10, while Launceston's Lauren Perry was 13th.
Good evening. Well, the run of above average temperatures continued today with the warmest weather over the west and south of the state. Hobart 21, Launceston 20, Burnie 17 today and Devonport 19 degrees. Flinders Island still recovering from a sensational food and crayfish festival had our highest with 22. That was shared with Strawn. King Island and Ooze 21, Low Head and Friendly Beaches 19, St Helens 17 and Lyawini 11 today. Now we did see some cloud over the north and northeast of the state, but mostly clear skies over the west and south. A well-defined cloud band extends from eastern WA through South Australia and over the Bight. 2 slightly less defined bands lie to the west of that main front. The rest of the nation had spatterings of scattered cloud. Tomorrow, not much movement in the systems with the high over the Tasman Sea. The low and cold fronts move slowly over the Bight. The winds east to northeasterly at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots over the northwest and southeast later. A strong wind warning is on from Sandy Cape to Stanley and from Tasman Island to Southeast Cape for those winds tomorrow. 25 the high for Hobart and partly cloudy, up to 19 for Adventure Bay, becoming windy, and 22 the top for Tarraleah. Launceston tomorrow, 24 the maximum, cloud clearing and fine in the afternoon, 21 for Devonport, mostly sunny for Bridport as well, and 22 degrees. Partly cloudy for Burnie, into the 20s as well, 24 for Strawn and 21 for Marrawar, all clear in the west. And in the east, partly cloudy but fine, St Helens 21, 23 for Swansea and 22 the high for Whitemark. On Wednesday, showers developing over the west early in the afternoon, extending to most districts by evening. Those showers contracting to the west and south during Thursday morning before easing late afternoon. Fine and mostly sunny for the state on Friday. A shower or 2 in Perth tomorrow. A sunny 32 in Adelaide. Fine and warm as well in Melbourne. 24 in Sydney and a few showers there. A few showers also for Brisbane with 26. Little cloud about Hobart, 16 at the moment, 16 right now in Launceston, 16 in Devonport. Just looking at you there, Rach, it's just reminded me it's springtime in Japan, cherry blossoms out. If you want to see them, you've got until the mid to end of May.
Okay, I better get on a flight over there. Thanks for that, Murph. Well, before we go tonight, it was a case of gravity over grunt in Brazil as the streets of Sao Paulo played host to the aptly named Crazy Race. From Egyptian mummies to an inflatable unicorn, even a container of takeaway food. Creativity was the real winner as cars navigated an obstacle course using only gravity to propel them. Sure, my boys would love that. Well, that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.